I usually try to make it as natural as possible. So even if I have an important dive or well, competition, I think our biggest enemy as freedivers is stress. So as long as we make it, you know, natural and let's say I try to avoid, you know, giving it too much importance to my dive, to my record, whatever it is. I try to make the whole thing, the routine, the you know the preparation before the dive, as if it was another training day, as if it was just well, it's obviously not a recreational dive, but I would just try to enjoy the moment and also try to enjoy the dive itself. So I don't like to be completely isolated, or you know, I would like even to speak with others, fellow freedivers, my coach, or the people surrounding me, the judge, the safety team. I think it releases a lot of tension. Mm-hmm. I sometimes do my breathing exercises and you know, all those lung stretching and stuff, but not necessarily. Sometimes I skip them. It actually doesn't really matter for me. I think if you do it on a daily basis, or that's the most important part. And if you skip them one day, you don't have time to, it's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're gonna black out or have a bad dive. So I try to, I don't give it too much importance. So I do pay attention to obviously the timing and the timing of breakfast and food intake, and then the moment I have to arrive to the platform or the boat or whatever. That's obviously important in order, again, to avoid stress. But for the rest, it just flows. It just goes naturally. I think I don't have a particular routine, let's say. Yeah.
Okay. Could we talk about your experience with safety? Obviously you're an instructor. You're an instructor trainer. You're getting ready to head towards Dean's Blue Hole in Long Island. I think this next week to coach for the entire summer. What kind of suggestions can you make again towards new freedivers or even experienced ones? Your recommendations for practicing safe diving?
Well, obviously, first of all, as we all know, so have the proper body and the proper safety crew around you, and obviously train in a place where you have, you know, easy access to an evacuation setup or a hospital or whatever. So these things have to be taken in consideration beforehand. But I would say the most important part is to be conservative with the dive. So try to always announce something you're capable of, and if you're gonna hit a PB, so try to increase 2, max 3 meters at a time. And I think it's the only way and the only method to avoid accidents, not pushing it. The most important thing about the sport, as I think we all know, is to be patient and let the time to the body to adapt gradually. We cannot force things in freediving, at least for depth. There are no shortcuts. So if we only have, say, 2 weeks for training, we need to be aware that we won't be able to go much, you know, further than X. I don't know. I mean, it depends on every person and the situation, obviously. But we have to be extremely patient and try to, if possible, take more time, maybe, to adapt properly.
Okay. And I think that before we close today, I did want to bring up, we had discussed how has COVID specifically affected you and the people around you within the freediving community. you have obviously the benefit of being able to travel to many locations, and we know that it has dramatically affected events and training. What has been your take on it specifically?
Well, it obviously affected all of us. Sometimes in unpredictable ways. So in my case, obviously I couldn't train properly. I was stuck when it just happened last year. It was I was stuck on that island in San Andres. Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, sorry.
2 years ago.
And yeah, time go fast. Then I decided to go back to the city, and obviously I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go to the pool. Everything was closed. So I had to buy some equipment at my place and do some dry training and strength training at my place. It wasn't the best. And then fortunately I was able to find a humanitarian flight to France, to Europe. and I was fortunate enough. Europe was opening, yeah, at that moment. So I could start my depth training on time. Well, kind of a bit late. It was June maybe already. And then I had to attend the competition in Greece. And as soon as Europe had to close again, I needed to leave the country and leave Europe and go to Egypt. I was fortunate Egypt was normal, practically, and that's where I decided to organize the world record attempt. It was a bit weird because I wasn't planning on that. I think the most important thing that changed for us freedivers is the lack of competitions. Because we need events to be able to well, first train correctly and then to compete and show results, obviously, to our sponsors or whatever. And that was the biggest issue and problem for majority of us. And actually, like this year, we have very, very little competitions. As far as I know, there's only 1 or 2 scheduled. And because COVID made everything more difficult. So for organizers to organize competitions, because there's very little sponsoring and financing, sorry. So, and for athletes, well, I know many fellow freedivers who haven't been able to go back to their favorite spots, especially in Asia. So, yeah, it's unfortunate.
So could you, just before we close, could you go into a little bit of detail about what you were getting ready to do in Long Island? Sounds like it's going to be an exciting summer there.
Yeah, it's always exciting to go to Long Island. I love this place. I keep on going there every year. I think it's my 10th year, probably, I go there. So Dean's Blue Hole is simply the perfect place and the best place for training, for depth training. So yeah, there's no question about that. And William and Vertical Blue will be running some courses and some training camps. So I'll be helping out and coaching there. We have several dates every month until very close to the competition to Vertical Blue. Vertical Blue will be held in will be happening in August from 1st to 11th. So we have plenty of time for the teaching and for training too.
What is your favorite part? Do you prefer to compete or do you prefer to teach, or there's just no comparison?
When I started freediving, I couldn't imagine myself living on the sport and teaching and stuff, because back then it was just starting. So I had my job and I would train and compete. And then things changed, and I started teaching. And actually, I enjoy teaching also. I enjoy sharing my views on freediving, my concepts. So it's very rewarding and interesting, and especially when I see some students doing very well, it's obviously very very rewarding and humbling also. So. I think I enjoy both. And competition is, of course, my main motivation and objective, and I like uh, setting record, not necessarily to be better than other freedivers, but mainly for myself to show, I mean, to discover, new aspects, new things about myself. That's what motivates me the most. Yeah.
So do you think that you are more of a competitor or more competitive within yourself?
Well, we obviously in freediving like to say that we compete against ourselves, and that's the first motivation. But we need to be realistic also, and there is a competition going on, and there's ranking and records, and so we cannot, how to say, we cannot obviate that part. We cannot forget about that part. So I think the two, it's fine. I mean, the two aspects are interconnected, and we can compete against each other's in a fair way, and it's the case usually in freediving. And competition, as you know, competitions are very, how you say, very friendly and very very enjoyable. We all share moments, special moments, and also knowledge and teaching and techniques. So it's a very special sport. I'm not sure it works the same in other sports, but at least in freediving, there's a lot of camaraderie and nice feeling usually. Okay, so
I was going to say that's something that I have definitely noticed in being involved in the different competitions is that there is a lot of respect there are support within, not just in the different groups or from the different countries, but just in general for the most part.
yeah, absolutely.
It's very different than any other sport that I've been exposed to.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Absolutely.
So, well, the only other thing that I wanted to mention, I don't know if anyone else knows how we first started talking. I had been following you as well as a number of athletes in the sport throughout the last few months and watching your progression, watching your success. But it was the one video that you posted on Instagram that I finally commented on, and that was you playing the guitar. You said that you, the bass guitar, you said that you had to give that up, or you had put that aside for a number of years while you were doing your training. Is that something that you've taken back up now, or do you just do it for the fun of it?
Right. Yeah, before freediving, I used to be a professional musician actually. I used to play in bars and restaurants and stuff. And it was it took a huge amount of time for me. Like I was rehearsing 6 hours a day, and I was really serious about it. And then, yeah, as you said, when I started freediving, I had to make a choice. I remember one day packing and going for some, I don't remember, for some freediving destination. Anyways, I was packing and I had my diving equipment, my diving gear at some corner of the room, and the music gear instruments in another corner, and I had to make a choice. I couldn't take everything with me, so that's the thing. Maybe if I was playing the flute or some other instrument, it could be easier. But playing the bass is not the easiest. But I do miss it a lot, though, and I think music is it's something I really need in my life. And actually, it's one of the tools I use for my mental training or relaxation, you could say, because I always, before I dive, I forgot to talk about that during the routine and the preparation, but I do listen to some music and some song maybe that I like to keep on singing in my head until some minutes before the dive and even during the dive, and I find it helps me a lot. That's one, I think, powerful tool. And music is, yeah, something that I couldn't let go. But someday, I wish I could find the right place where I could do all my freediving training and play the bass with other musicians, because especially for the bass, you need to play with others and share. So that's the part I miss the most.
So you mentioned as far as just leading up to your dives with the meditation, do you look for a song specifically that has a beats per minute that is maybe consistent with your kick? I know I've talked to some freedivers that's what they look for. They look for something that it plays that beat in their head similar to a heartbeat. Or do you just go for an appealing rhythm?
Yeah, as long as it's something like Rage Against the Machine or some hard rock music. No,
Okay.
no, I'm kidding. I obviously try to listen to something softer. But no particular rhythm or no, I try to focus on something, a song maybe, or a chorus, or something that I can repeat easily in my mind. You know, it doesn't have to be complex, or uh, some something that is easy to repeat and to conserve in my head. You know, to save it in my head, kind of, and then be able to repeat it endlessly. So yeah, anything.
Endlessly is the key word.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely, especially with the dives that you do, you have to have something that you can stand playing in your mind for an extended period of time. So I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. I know you've been busy coaching and teaching this week,
No
and
worries.
it's been just such an honor to speak with you this evening, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you a lot for it's an honor for me, and it's a great pleasure to share all these things with others, with fellow freedivers, and I hope it could help others too.
Thank you. Well, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening. I know, thankfully, we are on the same time zone,
Yeah, thankfully.
and you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing what happens in Vertical Blue.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you a lot. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Great
Bye-bye.
evening. Bye bye. Take care.